Patriots fans, gather around because this one's got everyone talking. Something went down in Foxborough that's got people raising eyebrows, and honestly, I can't stop thinking about it either. After that big win, one of the biggest stories wasn't even about the scoreboard or the touchdowns or Drake may slinging those passes. Nope, it was about Christian Barmore, or more specifically, the fact that we didn't see him on the field for the entire first quarter. That's right, the guy who's been a cornerstone of the defensive line was nowhere to be found when the game kicked off, and it had fans, analysts, and pretty much the whole Patriots community asking the same question. What on earth happened? Now, while everyone was wondering where Barmore was, we saw Q's Tonga out there taking snaps. And I got to give it to him, Tonga's been one of the best surprises this season. When he first came in, most people thought he'd just be a depth piece, someone to rotate in and give the starters a breather. But man, he's exceeded every expectation. He's been a physical force, clogging up running lanes, getting pushed inside, and showing that he belongs in that starting rotation. You could even say he's playing like a breakout candidate right now. Still, no matter how well Tonga's doing, you can't help but notice when a talent like Barmore isn't out there. At first, everyone figured it might be an injury. Maybe something minor the team hadn't mentioned. But then the injury report came out, and guess what? No mention of Barmore. Nothing. No reason given for why he wasn't out there. And then, just like that, he checks into the game in the second quarter, and it's like a switch flipped. The guy went off. Sure, the stat sheet won't show anything crazy, maybe just a tackle or two, but if you actually watch the tape, you could see the impact. The pressure he brought in just around 30 defensive snaps completely changed the tone of the defense. Quarterbacks hate that kind of interior pressure, and Barmore was wrecking play from the inside like he always does. So, of course, everyone wanted to know, why was he benched? Why would one of your best defensive players, a guy who's been key to this team's recent surge, sit out an entire quarter? And then after the game, we finally got a bit of clarity, though it raised just as many questions as it answered. Mike Vrabel, calm and collected as always, addressed the situation. He said Barmore didn't start because of a disciplinary reason. His exact words? I just had to make a decision. My job is to protect the team. Now that phrase, protect the team, that's what really got people talking. Protect the team from what? What happened that was serious enough to keep Barmore out of the opening quarter? Vrabel didn't give details, and that's what makes this whole thing even more intriguing. Because sure, coaches bench players all the time for small things, showing up late to a meeting, breaking a team rule, missing curfew, whatever. But the way Vrabel worded it, it sounded like something bigger. Protect the team isn't the phrase he used for a guy who forgot his playbook at the facility. That's the kind of language that hints at something internal, something serious enough that the coach had to draw a line. And yet, you look at how Vrabel handled it afterward, and it's interesting. During the post-game moments on the field, Vrabel made a point to go up to every player, giving out hugs, pats on the back. And yes, he hugged Barmore too. It didn't look tense or awkward. If anything, it looked like the kind of moment where a coach says, "We dealt with it. We're moving on." So maybe it's already behind them. But then came another twist. When reporters went into the locker room afterward, Barmore refused to speak to the media. He packed up and left Gillette Stadium without saying a single word. That silence is loud. When players go quiet like that, especially right after a benching, it always makes you wonder if there's more to the story. Maybe emotions were running high. Maybe he didn't want to say something in the heat of the moment that he'd regret later. Or maybe whatever happened behind the scenes is still being dealt with privately. Either way, fans were left guessing. It's a strange situation because, let's be honest, this team feels different lately. There's a sense of unity we haven't seen in a while. You look at the way they celebrated after big plays. Offense, defense, special teams, everyone's been in sync. So when something like this happens, it stands out. The Patriots are coming off 5 straight wins. The defense is looking dominant, and yet this little cloud of mystery pops up right in the middle of the momentum. And here's what makes it even more puzzling. Barmore's been through a lot. Remember last season, when he missed significant time dealing with blood clot issues? That was scary stuff. But he came back stronger, mentally and physically, and he's been one of the key pieces holding down that defensive front. Against Cleveland, for example, he racked up 6 pressures in just 30 snaps. That's elite production. In the fourth quarter, he was the guy who forced the intentional grounding on Dylan Gabriel, a play that completely shifted the momentum of the game. The man has been balling out. So when you hear your head coach saying he had to protect the team and that the benching was disciplinary, it doesn't quite add up. Protect the team from what exactly? Was there a confrontation? A disagreement during the week? Maybe something small that Vrabel wanted to make an example of? Because that's also part of it. Vrabel's been trying to reestablish a culture of accountability here in New England. He's made it clear that nobody, no matter how talented, is above the team. That's the kind of mentality that's helped turn things around these past few weeks. Still, even understanding that, fans can't help but worry. You don't want drama creeping in when the team is finally starting to click. The defense has been playing lights out, shutting down the run, bringing consistent pressure, and really building an identity again. And Barmore is a big part of that. You saw what happened in the first quarter without him. The opposing offense marched right down the field, almost effortlessly. There was no real push from the interior, no disruption. Once he got in, everything tightened up. The difference was obvious. So if it was about sending a message, then message received. Vrabel benched one of his best players to make a point about discipline, and then Barmore went out there and played like a man possessed. Maybe that's exactly what the coach wanted. A spark, a reminder that no one's untouchable. But that phrase, protect the team, still lingers. It's one of those lines that keeps fans thinking long after the final whistle. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure. The Patriots need Christian Barmore. They need his power, his presence, his disruption up front. This defense looks completely different when he's on the field. You can feel it in the way the line collapses the pocket, how the linebackers play faster when he's commanding double teams. So whatever went down, the hope is that it's handled, that everyone's on the same page, and that this is just a one-time issue that gets left in the past. Because right now, with the team on a roll, the last thing New England needs is unnecessary distractions. And that's what makes this story so compelling. It's not just about one player missing a quarter. It's about what that decision represents, a coach drawing a line, a player reacting, and a team figuring out how to stay united in the middle of it all. It's classic Patriots drama, the kind that only seems to surface when things are actually going well. And while we may not have all the answers yet, one thing is clear. This situation has given everyone plenty to talk about in Foxborough. And while all that noise surrounded Christian Barmore, another story was quietly unfolding on the offensive side of the ball, and it deserves just as much attention. Because amid all the post-game talk about discipline and defense, one of the brightest spots in that one came from the ground game, and specifically from Henderson. Yeah, the rookie running back finally got his chance to really show what he can do, and man, he made the most of it. For weeks, fans have been wondering why Henderson wasn't getting more touches. Every time he'd step on the field, you could see flashes, that patience, that burst, that ability to read his blockers and cut through holes before defenders even realized what was happening. But the coaching staff kept saying it was situational, that he'd get more reps when the moment was right. Well, this week, that moment finally came. Henderson carried the ball 10 times for 75 yards, averaging 7.5 yards per carry. And it wasn't just empty yards. He changed the tempo of the game. The way he runs feels different. There's a rhythm to it. He doesn't panic behind the line. He waits, he reads, and then he explodes. On a couple of plays, you could literally see the defense collapse on one side, and Henderson cut back and turn what looked like a dead play into a chunk gain. That's the kind of running style that wears teams down, that opens up play action, and that takes pressure off your young quarterback. He was on his way to capping off what could have been his breakout performance with a touchdown too, until that fumble. And man, that one hurt. He was inches away from the end zone when the ball popped loose. You could see the frustration on his face right away. It wasn't a careless mistake. It was one of those moments that happens to every young running back. Still, ball security has been a problem for the Patriots this season, and that's something Vrabel's not going to tolerate. Ramondre Stevenson has already put the ball on the ground multiple times. Antonio Gibson fumbled twice before getting hurt. And now Henderson joins that list. For a team that preaches discipline and situational awareness, that's not good enough. Because look, This offense doesn't have a huge margin for error. They can't afford to give away possessions. They're built around balance, around smart football. So every time the ball hits the turf, it's not just about losing a play. It's about losing momentum, losing control of the pace. And yet, it's hard to be too harsh on Henderson because, aside from that mistake, he looked electric. You can see why the coaches believe in him. His footwork, his patience, his explosiveness. That's exactly what this backfield's been missing. Meanwhile, Stevenson had a rough day. 14 carries for 34 yards. He just couldn't get anything going. The lanes weren't opening, and when they did, he didn't hit them fast enough. It's been a weird season for him. You can tell he's pressing, trying to make the big play instead of taking what the defense gives him. It's understandable, given how inconsistent the offense has been at times, but when you see Henderson stepping in and ripping off 7-yard gains like it's nothing, it makes you wonder how the rotation might look moving forward. Vrabel's a coach who loves competition. He doesn't care about draft position or seniority. He cares about production. And Henderson gave him production. You can bet he's earned more carries next week against Atlanta. The Falcons' front has been tough against the run this season. But if Henderson keeps running with that vision and burst, he's going to make it hard for the coaching staff to keep him off the field. Now, speaking of next week, the Patriots are heading into this next stretch with momentum. 5 straight wins, sitting at 6-2, and the team looks like it's finding its identity. The defense is playing with that old-school New England edge again. Physical, disciplined, opportunistic. The offense is still a work in progress, but you can feel it starting to click. Drake May's development is huge in that. Even after throwing that ugly interception early, he bounced back like a veteran, firing 3 straight touchdown passes and commanding the huddle with confidence. That's the kind of response you want from your young quarterback. The chemistry between him and the receivers is improving too. You can see the trust building, the timing getting sharper. Every week, it looks a little smoother, a little more confident. And that matters because when the quarterback starts believing in his guys, the whole offense feeds off that energy. Still, no matter how much progress they make through the air, it's the run game that's going to define this team down the stretch. The Patriots have always been at their best when they control the tempo, when they can grind down defenses and keep their own defense fresh. Henderson might just be the missing piece that allows them to do that. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are swirling around the NFL after a surprising move by Tennessee Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. Sources close to the team suggest that Christian Gonzalez, one of the rising stars on the roster, has been officially removed from the main squad following what insiders describe as a highly controversial incident. The exact details remain murky, but those familiar with the locker room dynamics hint at a clash that went beyond the usual competitive heat of professional football. Vrabel, known for his disciplinarian approach and strict standards, has never shied away from making bold decisions. But this latest action has sent shockwaves through the Titans fan base. Gonzalez, who has been turning heads with his playmaking ability and apparent chemistry with the team, suddenly finds himself sidelined, with speculation now running rampant about what could have triggered such a drastic response. Some insiders hint at a breach of team rules, while others point to a personality clash that may have reached a boiling point. In recent weeks, Gonzalez had been involved in several on-field incidents that drew attention, but nothing that seemed severe enough to warrant removal. Until now. Teammates have been tight-lipped, though a few have reportedly expressed frustration with the lack of transparency surrounding the decision. Social media is alight with rumors, ranging from locker room tensions to alleged disagreements over strategy or discipline. The Titans management has yet to release an official statement, further fueling speculation. For Vrabel, the stakes are high. The team is navigating a critical portion of the season, and benching a talented player could either be a masterstroke of leadership or a gamble that backfires publicly. Meanwhile, fans and analysts alike are left to wonder, is this the beginning of a deeper shakeup or merely a stern message meant to reinforce the coach's authority? One thing is certain, the Titans' locker room will be under a microscope, and every practice, every play, and every interaction will now be dissected for clues. As the story develops, the NFL community watches closely. Will Gonzalez fight his way back into the lineup, or is this the start of a very public fallout? Only time will tell, but the rumor mill shows no signs of slowing, and Titans Nation is bracing for a storm. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.